The Hancock Sports Hall of Fame is an arena and a venue that we've set up to honor great athletes, great athletic teams. Guys that played in the NFL, and we have guys that played in the NBA. Findlay and Hancock County has just been a great bed of talent.
I have two sons and live in Williamstown, Ohio. I presently work at the Citizens National Bank in Bluffton, Ohio. I've been in banking for 32 years and have been pretty much in the commercial and agricultural banking during that time period. And that's pretty much what I've done the majority of my working career. Well, we grew up in a sports family. My whole family, loved sports, and I happened to be the second youngest of 5 children, and I had 2 older brothers who played sports at Arlington, and I kind of followed in their footsteps, and we would play all the time at home as kids. And we was watching it, and so we talked it and lived sports a lot, and we just enjoyed sports, and it was a big part of our lives growing up. And at Arlington High School, then I was able to play quarterback for 3 years, and was lucky enough to be named All-State as my senior year as a defensive back, and was also able to play 3 years of high school basketball and then also 4 years of varsity baseball. So that kind of led me to a college career, and I was just lucky enough to be able to play for Coach Strom and the University of Findlay, and I was able to play both, both football, and then I also played 3 years of baseball for Coach Steve Moore at the University of Findlay, and we played with a lot of good players and a lot of great players. And so the leading of all of that, and then my senior year in football, I was lucky enough. I had a good year and was lucky enough to be named all-conference and all-district as a defensive back, and that's kind of what I think led me to the award tonight. You realize, when you're in high school, you earn a lot of awards, and a lot of good things happen. Then when you get to college, you realize that how many good players there really are, and you had to work so hard, to make it, to be able to play on a team like that. And yes, that was just such a great honor. And what I remember about it was just the excitement in the Findlay community when it was the first time since 1964 that the University of Findlay had been in the national playoff in football, and the excitement was just tremendous, and the camaraderie of our teammates, and just being able to come so close. We was runners up and about 1 yard short. In 1978, and then in 1979, our main goal was to just repeat and get back, and we reached that, made that accomplishment, and reached that accomplishment, and what a great honor and it was. It's just something that you remember all of your life.
Doug's sports career started when we were small young men, and we happened to have two cousins that were exactly the same age. So anytime we would get together, and it probably started at 4 or 5 years old, that we would play football, we'd play baseball, we'd play basketball. It didn't matter. So I was blessed to be able to be in the backfield with him when he played football. I was a senior and he was a sophomore. He started at quarterback on his sophomore year. It was a real blessing, and he was very, very fast. I think he ran at one time. He told me he was timed at a 4.340, and back that far ago, that was pretty good. I thought he was very fast. And he started as a sophomore in high school. He had a pretty good sophomore year. I'd say he'd had an excellent sophomore year. I know at his funerals, the pastor, who happened to be the same age as Doug, brought up one of the plays that he was involved in at Coy-Rawson High School. And we were playing Coy-Rawson at Arlington that night. It was the third game of his sophomore season. And I fumbled the ball. He pitched it to me. We was going around the right end. I remember the play to this day. I can picture what happened. And we ran a wishbone offense. We practiced it to the T. I mean, Bob ran it excellent, and then Doug come along, and well, nice thing about his injury is he was able to watch Bob and everything that Bob did, so he just kind of copied it and took off with it. Back to the Coy-Rawson game, he pitched the ball to me, I fumbled it, I picked it back up, tossed it back to him. He goes around left end for a 70-yard touchdown. Of course, when he got there at the end zone, he held the ball up in the air. The next week, Coach Metzger told him that would never, ever happen again. So Doug was very talented, and you could have said he was a little bit on the arrogant side, but quarterbacks have to be that way just a little bit. But Coach Metzger brought him back down to earth, that it takes 11 members on a team to make a good team, and it wasn't him as an individual that did that. But anyway, the pastor of Doug's funeral brought up that he can remember that play to this day, and I do too, that we ended up beating them 12-7 that game. And that was a big rivalry back in the day. It was Coy-Rawson and Arlington was big. That was a big game for us. Their senior season, and they ended up being 10-0 as a team. So obviously Bob might have shared with you when he was a senior, we were 10-0, and then when Doug became a senior as a quarterback, he was 10-0. And very, he's just very fast. He could run that triple option, and if he decided he was going to cut and go, he was gone. I mean, there was very few kids that could catch him. He was just that quick. It's a wonderful tribute that you're honoring Doug as an individual athlete. But I know we were taught many years ago, and Coach Metzger brought it out in that play that I told you about when Doug was a sophomore, that it takes more than just an individual to have a good team. You got to have, in football, at least 11 players on each side of the ball, and it takes a team. It takes a host of players, and he was very fortunate to have other good players on the team so they could complete a 10-0 season. So I'd say he became more of a team player, and when he first started out, he thought he was a pretty good athlete, and he was. But I think through some of the coaching, they instilled in him that it takes more than just an individual to a team player, even though he was blessed with a lot of God-given talent and especially his speed. But I would say that would be one of his attributes, that he became more of a team player as he aged.
Well, I grew up in Macomb, Ohio. Lived there all my life. Went to Findlay College in 1983, fall of '84. Completed my education in 1988 and married my best friend in '89, and from there, we moved to Indianapolis, Indiana, and we spent 24 years there. And the last 2 years, we moved back to the state of Ohio. It goes way back to the very beginning for me. As early as I can remember, I've been interested in sports, but particularly football. One of my earliest baby pictures is me sitting there holding a football with my graduation year on it. I think the short version of how I ended up here in the Hancock County Hall of Fame was on the shoulders of a lot of good teammates. There was a band of brothers all throughout my collegiate or high school, college career. I've played football since the 4th grade, and those guys that I played alongside of and with mean the world to me from that perspective. But football is just something that has really, I think, been bred into me, and those were 13 great years of my life. I think the defining moment for me in sports is a couple of things. When I received the award of being the Ohio Lineman of the Year, that really turned something on in me that I didn't really understand. That took me into my college career at what is now University of Findlay, but when I played there it was Findlay College. And I got to play with some amazing guys and under some amazing coaches as well. I'm just so grateful to have the opportunity to be inducted into the Hancock County Hall of Fame. I've grown up under some great coaches and very grateful to my family, to my friends and my teammates for helping me reach this pinnacle.
I've got family, wife and 3 kids. Most of my time is spent with those 3 kids and the activities that they're in. Their ages are 11, 9, and 5. So there's just a ton of activities. Just enjoy spending time with the family. If there's any free time, I like anything with outdoors and athletics. You know, from the time I can remember, my dad was in athletics and in sports, and just going and watching him play and him coaching, and just always been something that I wanted to do. I've always enjoyed playing sports, and as long as I can remember, I've just always been baseball, basketball, football, whatever it may be. So just from the time I was a kid, just always played. I started out my career at high school at Upper Side of Valley in Hardin County. I was a 2-sport athlete there, played both basketball and baseball. Was All-Ohio in football my senior year. That led me to, went on to Ohio State as an invited walk-on for 1 year. And after that, I came to the University of Findlay, where I started quarterback for 4 years. In those 4 years, we were able to win 2 national championships in 1995 and 1997. So we had just a lot of great teams and a lot of great players in those 4 years, and just had a lot of success at the University of Findlay. I'd say my defining moment in sports would be my senior year. We were undefeated, won the national championship, and that year I was also named the NAIA Rawlings National Player of the Year. I think our team, as a group of seniors, we made a kind of a commitment to each other before the beginning of that year to come back, and we wanted to win a national championship. We had a hard defeat the year before, and just coming back and winning the national championship, going undefeated as a senior, and kind of ending my career on a high note, that was my defining moment there.
Well, I'm a registered nurse. That's my job. I've been working in the intensive care unit for over like 28 years, but lately I've been working in the recovery room, getting patients ready before and after surgery. I have 3 children, ages 27, 24, and 22, which they're all tennis players in their career and all graduated from college, so I'm very proud of that. I've moved away from this area, from Arcadia, for the last more than 24 years. I'm 54 now, so I guess I've been away for 30 years. So it's been a while since I've been back, and so I'm happy to be back here and see all my family, because I come from a big family. So it's nice. Well, it occurred to me back when I was in 6th grade, when I started Arcadia Public School. I had a teacher named James Miller, and he focused us girls onto running. And so from there, he continued to keep us in the sport, not on a year-round basis, but just like in the springtime. And so from there, I kind of seen what I could do, and he just kept pushing us on, and actually he finally became our high school coach at the time. So it was him that pretty much focused me onto sports. Well, they distinguished me because I placed in the 200 meters, 3rd in the state as a freshman and as a junior. Unfortunately, as a senior, I was 6th place, but that's just because I was busy doing a lot more sports at the time, like during the state meet. So we were state champions. I was on the relay team for the 2 state champion relays. Otherwise, it was my track career that got me here, but I did play other sports, basketball and volleyball. I wasn't any state qualifier or anything like that. That was more of a team sport that I was in, but I love all sports. I mean, as far as my basketball and volleyball. My defining moment in sports. Wow. Well, I think it was, as a freshman, placing 3rd in the state was a very important part of me. And of course, it led me to where I know what's out there. And actually all of us at that freshman, or at that level when I was that year as a freshman, we were all freshmen that placed 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in the state. So unfortunately, I had to run against all those people all my rest of the years, but still it was, that was pretty much defining like who and what I can be. Well, just that, thank you very much for, for them voting on me to be a Sports Hall of Fame member. It's kind of a cool thing, and now my kids kind of know more about me and who I really was. Because, kids just take you for granted, as far as your sports career. But that kind of put the hammer on the nail for my kids to understand, hey, Mama was somebody back then.
My dad is Dennis Rissler, and I'm here representing him today. What can I tell you about him as a person? He was a lot of fun. He had a really great sense of humor. He was a hardworking man. His players always said he was a really good motivator. So he wasn't in your face and screaming, but he was he would want you to do your best. And so he did a really good job of, motivating people to do their best. He's been interested in sports in general probably his entire life, and we've always been, big professional sports fans. And when he was teaching one year, they needed a coach, in junior high, and so they they didn't really have any options, and so they asked if he would do it. So he did that for a couple years, and then he became a varsity boys assistant at St. Peter's and Mansfield, and then he became the girls varsity head coach at St. Peter's and Mansfield, and he had a lot of success there. Several trips to the state tournament. He has a couple of state championships. And then in the early 1980s, an opening came here at Liberty Benton, and we have family that lives here, so it was kind of a good move, I guess, for all of us. And when we got to Liberty Benton, they had lost 54 games in a row when he started here, and so it was definitely a challenge. But I mean, he's been coaching since before I was born, and you know, he had a good 30-plus coaching career, 30 years, so it was good. I think 416 career wins. It's over 400. I don't know the exact number, but over 400 career wins, 2 state championships, multiple trips to the state tournament. I couldn't even count how many regional and district championships and many BBC championships. I know there was a stretch in the 90s where they won the BBC championship 3 years in a row. So he had a lot of success here at Liberty Benton, and I think that's kind of what led to his nomination for this. So. He would probably say that it really had less to do with basketball itself and probably more to do with the relationships he formed with students along the way, because there are many students who have kept in touch all these years and let him know like what a difference he made in their lives. And so I think that for him would probably be his biggest accomplishment, is just making a difference.
I'd like to thank the Hancock County Sports Hall of Fame Committee for inducting me into this tremendous group of people. I'm very excited for this. I wish I could be there. And again, I'd like to thank that committee, especially Scott Borgelt. He's been a tremendous resource for me. When he contacted me, I was totally caught off guard. It was right before I was teaching a class, and I didn't even realize there was a Hancock County Sports Hall of Fame. So I really like to thank Scott for all he's done. Great communication, great organization. I guess I would also, the primary person, my family, because my mom's here today accepting my award, but I think that everyone was familiar or was aware of the accomplishments that I've received recently with the National Fast Pitch Coaches Hall of Fame induction through Facebook. So my brother, thank you for putting things on Facebook and just getting the word out, because otherwise I don't think anybody would even know where I am located. So thank you. I think that anytime you receive an honor or you receive an award, so many times it's based on timing. And I think I've been so fortunate with the timing of my life that I've had great opportunities, starting with Macomb High School, where I had, you know, sometimes I think that there are times I wish I was an athlete now, where there's so many more opportunities and games and coaches and training. But I think with Title IX and the fact that my senior year in high school was the first year that we were actually eligible or able to compete for a potential state tournament in all the sports, that my timing was really good for that, because again, I was the first class to ever compete. I think that is something I'll always be kind of proud of. And also the fact that at that time, again with timing, I was able to play multiple sports. I went from volleyball to basketball to softball, and those things just don't happen today. So that, again, was really good timing for me, because no matter what the season, I was really excited to be a part of it. So Macomb, Ohio, I really appreciate the fact that I had a great education, which then allowed me to go to Ohio Northern. And again, the timing. I was fortunate to play all 3 sports there. I was inducted into their Hall of Fame. And I just think, again, it's the timing of being able to do that. Part of it is just, I'm very fortunate for that. After college then, when I was teaching, right after college I went to North Central Public School, that's in Ohio, up in real close to Michigan and Indiana. And again, it was the timing, because I was able to coach sports right away. I was a teacher coach, very proud of that profession. I think that, again, my background, all the education and the training from Macomb and Ohio Northern trained me well for that. Very, very excited that I was able to compete at a state tournament in the softball program with that. And again, then it was about timing, because I had been there for 8 years, and it was a matter of, do I stay there, which I loved it there, or move on and try to become a school guidance counselor, which I thought that's what I would do. Went to, again, timing-wise, went to the University of Wisconsin, Platteville. The timing was perfect because I was also looking, I volunteered to be an assistant coach, and this was the time for women's sports where assistant coaches were being hired. Timing was everything. I was hired as the assistant volleyball, assistant softball. The softball position opened up the next year. I was offered the job, and that's where my collegiate coaching began. Very fortunate to have a tremendous experience there. And then again, timing is everything. When Cortland job opened up, though Cortland is just a phenomenal institution with the ability to get to a national tournament. And by being hired at Cortland, I was able to really focus on my teaching and my coaching. And 2 years ago, being able to get to the national championship into that final game was just one of the highlights of my life. So I just would like to, I think I'm so fortunate to have a great, every phase of my life has been something I've enjoyed, and I really do think that the foundation was laid in Hancock County, and I'm very fortunate to have a supportive family. Again, my mom's here. I'd like to thank her for being here, and for my family for giving me all the opportunities to excel in the sports that I love. Thank you.
I was coaching at Kansas State University in the Big Eight, and so happened in early December the head coach got fired. I was the defensive coordinator, and when the head coach gets fired, everybody gets fired. I had my wife with 2 children and pregnant and no job in December, and I was ready to take the job at Northern Illinois, and Jim Huddishell from Findlay called me and said, "We have an opening here, we'd like to interview you." So I flew down to Findlay and came in here, and I liked what I saw, and I wanted to be a head coach again. I've been a head coach in high school for 10 years and been assistant at Toledo, assistant at Kansas State, and I wanted to be a head coach. So I thought I'd be here. I told Huddishell, I said, I'll be here 5 years and I got to move on. Well, our 5th year we won a national title in '79, and it ended up, I've been here 40 years. So I didn't hold my part of the bargain up very well. Uh, 1995, we were 10-1-2, and won the national championship. We started the season with a loss. Second game of the season, there was a tie, so we didn't start out very well. Then we won 7 in a row, got in the playoffs, and caught fire. And their quarterback was a Kitna, who went and played 14 years in the NFL, and he was quite a quarterback. But the game ended up, the only time is a tie. And in the NAIA at that time, they thought if you played a national championship game, that you shouldn't have to go overtime. The teams wanted to go, like they do now, and it should have been. So we ended up in a tie, but both teams claimed the national title. In 1997 was a great year. Most of our guys played on the '96 team, which ended up 12-1. We lost the last game of the season, which kept us from going into the championship game. But Bo Hurley and the rest of that gang came back and played, and we played a team, Will Lamott from Oregon, and it was 14-7. We were very fortunate to win it, but it also gave us a 14-0 season. So second undefeated season in the history of the University of Findlay. So we had a bunch of really well-determined young men who wanted that championship because they lost it in '96, and most of them came back with that feeling that's what they wanted to do. If we go to the 95 team first, we had some individuals there who were really outstanding football players. And we had a coaching staff that I was able to keep together for the first time for about 8 or 9 years. So everything was familiar to them. And we had a heck of a fullback and a great quarterback, and that just, they were very determined to win. And they knew they started out with, as I said to you, with a tie and a loss, which kind of put them, we can't make the playoffs, can we? And I said, if you win the rest of the games, you can. And they won the rest of the games. 97 was most of those guys in 97 started in 96. And we ended the season undefeated. We won our first 2 playoff games and then lost out here to Donnell 28-21. And they came back in 97 and they were very determined that they were going to get back in the playoffs again. And they not only got in the playoffs, they did 14-0 and won the national title. I would like to thank all of my coaches that have coached for me. All these are 35 of them over my 24 years here being a head coach. A lot of them have gone on and done very well. And then, certainly all the ball players. Probably over 1,500 that played for me in those 24 years. And we've had a lot of fun together. And they're just a great bunch of young men. And I've enjoyed every minute of being the head coach for those young men all those years. And then I've got to add my wife and family. Been married 53 years, and anybody put up for me for 53 years has got to be a queen. And that and my children, that is what's kept me going.
You have to work hard today. I mean, I see these kids working 365 days a year. When we were growing up, yeah, we played sports, but we did it on a fun basis. And then it became more serious as we got into the competitive side of it. But to have fun, it's still it's not life or death.
Keep on practicing over and over again. I mean, I know with my children, I did the same thing to focus them on the tennis career that they have. And so it's just not about your parents taking you to a practice and that's it. You need to be practicing almost on a daily routine basis to get good. Otherwise, you're just going to be average. You're not going to be able to excel to the degree of, being a state champion or being something above that even.
Have confidence in yourself. Don't try to be more than you are. But the main thing is you just have to, if you want to play, you have to really work hard at it, and you have to practice. Nothing comes easy, and the more time that you put into it, the better you will eventually become. With that extra work. And the other thing truly is you need to enjoy it and have fun while you're doing it.
So my dad has always said, his best advice to give to someone who wants to go into coaching is, first of all, get your family involved because it makes it much easier because coaching is very time consuming and you're away from your family a lot.
To do it for the right reasons, to do it because you love the sport, not because somebody else, wants you to play or it pushes you. It's just because you have a true love and a true passion for that sport. And if you do, to put everything you have into it and just give it your all, and you can learn a lot from athletics that are going to carry over into your life down the road.
I think some of the best advice I could give young athletes is to enjoy the moment that they're in.
The other thing he would probably say is be prepared to have people not like you and be okay with that, because, you know, coaching can be really difficult, and there are plenty of people who think they know more than the coach, and you know, you got to have a little bit of a thick skin. But you know, I think he did.
Today is kind of crazy in some regards with sports, but really understand that it's a game that teaches you how to live life.
And give it your all. Do your best.